Welcome back to the Ziggy Zone. You know why we're here. Today we're going to discuss our week 6 predictions. And as we get deeper and deeper into the season, selecting winners are becoming increasingly difficult. There are injuries, there are coaching changes, teams are proving to be better one week, not so great the following week. It is literally who knows, right? Our teams that have been consistent, so obviously we'll choose them to win, maybe. And there are other teams who have a lot of promise, but for whatever reason can't pull it all together at the same time. So, without further ado, we're going to give you our week 6 predictions. And yes, we'll take it from there. On Thursday, we start off with NFC South rivals, the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. Now, these two teams have been going back and forth for a number of years. In fact, I want to say 2 years ago, Saints fans egged the Falcons bus, or Falcons fans egged the Saints bus. I can't remember the details, but I know it had gotten that serious for the fans of those two teams from those two cities. So they're taking on each other Thursday Night Football. As we know, the Falcons are undefeated. They are looking like being a shoo-in to take over the NFC South. The Saints last week, they did not win. And I actually anticipated for them to win, which makes Thursday night an interesting matchup. I am going to go out on a tightrope and say that the Saints will actually win. Now, these two teams, they face each other twice in the season. This is their first matchup of the season. I say, coming off of a bad win, a bad loss last week, the Saints will try to redeem themselves and win. I think they have just enough. Besides, Atlanta hasn't been foolproof. Like, they definitely have some holes there. And I think that if New Orleans can exploit those holes, they'll be fine. Now, moving over to Sunday's action, the Redskins will be taking on the Jets, and the Jets just are fresh off of a bye week. And I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of Kirk Cousins in Washington. They're a lot better. They look a lot better than what I anticipated them to look. So I'm going to give them the win. The Cardinals, they're taking on the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Michael Vick had that amazing comeback from behind win on Monday night. But I think Arizona, they're running through their opponents. They, too, are another undefeated team. And I'm liking Arizona a little bit more than Pittsburgh. Although, clearly, last week I said Vic needs to hang it up. I still stand by that decision, but he has a little bit left in the tank. So we'll see. Kansas City will be taking on the Vikings. And Kansas City, they just, like, you guys remember Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence? The Kansas City Chiefs can't get right at this very moment. Like, they literally can't get right. They have all of the pieces, and I get that Jamal Charles, I believe, has an ACL injury, so he's done for the season. But outside of Jamal Charles, Kansas City looked like a pretty decent team. I don't know what's going on with those guys. They just can't get right. They were losing the teams that, were losses that, okay, you shouldn't take. But now they're just losing the teams that they shouldn't be losing to. I'm going to give this one to Minnesota Vikings who, at this point, they're off of a bye as well. They're looking more promising. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals will be heading to Buffalo to take on the Bills. And as much as I like the Bills, the Bengals are makings of a championship team. I really like Cincinnati. They had a really good come-from-behind win against Seattle Seahawks, which was great for me, and as I don't like the Seahawks. And yeah, I want them to remain undefeated. So for that reason alone, as much as I really want the Bills to do well, I actually really want Cincinnati to remain undefeated. So we're going to give the win over to those guys in Cincinnati. They're balling, really. Now, straight out of Oz, right? Lions and Tigers and Bears. Oh my. The Chicago Bears will be taking on the Detroit Lions. Both teams are underwhelming. Both teams can go either or. Though the Bears are on a bit of a win streak. They've won like 2 weeks in a row. Interesting. Especially they've beat teams that they should have lost to, in my humble opinion. The Lions, not really sure what's going on up there. I think the Bears have an edge over the Lions, so they'll probably get the win. The Broncos are heading to Cleveland to take on the Browns, and the Browns just don't have a chance, so we'll move on. Broncos. In the kindergartner match, we have the Houston Texans taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Jacksonville made their game really close against Tampa Bay last week. I wanted them to win, but Tampa Bay just had a little more in their tank and got the win. Both teams are equally bad, just Houston's a little bit worse. And I like Jacksonville. I actually honestly like Jacksonville. I want them to win. They're like the little brother that you just want to do well. And I really want Jacksonville to do well. So I am picking them over the Texans. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins taking on the Tennessee Titans. And, Mariota, he transitioned well into the NFL, I must say. Definitely a lot smoother. I know he went in out, and I like his style. He's really interesting to watch. And I think that with good health, he'll have a really solid career, I believe. So we're going to say, in the Dolphins, they fired their coach in their bye week. Their current coach was the Titans coach, so their coach was a position coach. That should ring similar true for another team. Titans, Tennessee, I think they definitely have a stronger core. The Dolphins, they don't know what they're doing. They're in flux at the moment. The Carolina Panthers, will be traveling to Seattle for the Seahawks. And the Panthers are also undefeated, which is very interesting. There are a lot of undefeated teams this year so far. We're going into week 6, and there are like 5 or 6 teams that are undefeated. So this is awesome. And the Panthers are good. They've been consistent the last few years. The Seahawks had a devastating loss, I believe, for their organization. I really don't care. But the Seahawks had a devastating loss to the Bengals last week, but oh well. I think that Seattle will bounce back and actually hand Carolina their first loss of the season. So if you're a Cam fan, if you are a Carolina fan, this might be your first L of the season. So sorry for ya. Next, we have the San Diego Chargers taking on the Green Bay Packers. And Aaron, he's going to be Aaron. I don't think there's much to discuss here. The Packers will obviously get a win. I don't doubt that San Diego will make it a match and one that's interesting to watch, but Green Bay will win. This used to be called the Har Bowl, but Jim was fired last year, so now it's just the Ravens and the 49ers. And both teams are underperforming, right? For them to both have been in the Super Bowl, 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago. To both of them well below 500 is like mind-boggling for most of us, but that's sort of how football works. When you're riding high, and then you sink to the valley low. I mean, to me, that's how football works. Unfortunately, or not unfortunately, fortunately for me, 49ers overall as a team is actually better than the Baltimore Ravens. Like, yes, when the 49ers were losing, they were losing. But coming back against the Giants, they showed a lot of promise. And Baltimore, they're having leads and then losing them. That's a real issue. It's not like the 49ers were ever leading and then they lost a lead. I think there's more to say about the team that was leading and lost a lead versus the team that was just always coming from behind. So as always, I got to go with the home team. So we're going to pick the 49ers. Woo woo. And then the last game of Sunday will be undefeated New England Patriots versus the Indianapolis Colts. And The Colts may want revenge for the AFC Championship. That's where all of this Deflategate stuff came from. They were going to lose anyway, so I don't know why Indianapolis caused a big scene. Like, they were going to lose regardless um, of the ball situation last year. Nevertheless, they may want revenge. They're just not going to get it this week. They'll be close, probably not, but no cigar. It's just not happening. Tom Brady, he's like, we're just cruising through teams. They're on a roll. I'm sure they're trying to go for back-to-back Super Bowls. We'll see. And then on Monday night, it's ending with another NFC rivalry, and that is the Giants and the Eagles. And this particular game is really hard to gauge because both teams are so up and down. Like, you just don't know what team will show up for either of them, right? So I had to break it down and say, you know what, this will be a battle of quarterbacks. You have Manning versus Bradford. And honestly, I just think that Eli's a better quarterback. I'm going to give the win over to the Giants. It's a hard toss-up, but when you have to battle quarterback versus quarterback, you got to go with the better quarterback. So those were my selections for week 6. Be sure to check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope at the Ziggy Zone. Also, be sure to leave a comment. Talk to me. I want to hear what you have to say. And share with your friends. Let them know how awesome this is. All right. Till next time. Bye.